The Eels team line-up for today. Taylor, Hunt, Cronin, Laurie, Atkins, Quinn, Eden, Price, Sharp, Ford, Mansfield, Carr and Jerd. Certainly cut about. Vince Carr in the hooking spot for Parramatta. He came from Patrician Brothers Fairfield, was graded by the Eels in '84, and in this match, he'll be making his first grade debut. The Dragon team today is Burgess, Kinchella, Johnston, Beattie, Morris, Cannon, Linane, O'Grady, Wynn, Noak, Young, Townsend and Stone, and again, plenty of changes to that team. Townsend, the Saints hooker, played with Brisbane Brothers in '81-82, was graded with the Saints in '84, and only made his first grade debut last weekend against North Sydney. The referee for today's encounter is Chris Ward. So the Dragons from left to right, O'Grady kicking off down into Sunshine Corner, in fact, as Atkins brings it out. The dummy half to the runner. I'm sure it was. The crowd agrees. Played by Noak. It's with Linane. They take to the air. It's a very good bomb by the little half. Taylor goes up. Laurie goes up, and Laurie's got the ball, but it's a penalty to the Saints. He's ruled it came off Taylor to a player in front of him, that player being Mark Laurie. Taylor did very well. He was up higher than Graeme Wynn, a much, much taller player, and then it came down to Laurie and a penalty. No arguments with that ruling. So Bill Noak will take the attempted penalty. I think this lad, or this man now, but as a lad, he kicked for the Australian schoolboys, but did he not?
Yes, he did, but he hasn't done much kicking in grade, and it's a big difference when you've got to kick them in the pressure of first grade football.
Always matches between Parramatta and St. George in the modern era. Of great interest, Graeme Hughes, but as I said earlier, just robbed of a little bit of its glamour, or a lot of its glamour, by the absence of the stars.
Well, it certainly has, Ray, but if ever so slightly I lean towards St. George. They've got a more solid and set pack of forwards. I think to win this game, Mick Cronin and Paul Taylor are going to have to put a big stamp on this match out wide for the Eels.
It's Billy Noak. Not too far off centre. Oh, that looks beautiful. Straight between the uprights. St. George leading Parramatta 2 points to 0. You're watching the NEC big game on a Sunday from Belmore. Laurie, good work by Michael Cronin. As strong as they come. Through now to Eden. On to Mansfield. Back inside and put down by Quinn backwards. And now he's tackled on 5. Eden kicks into the in goal. Burgess under it. Good kick. It's a try. It's a try, all right. Scored by Michael Eden. Absolutely no doubts about this. The kicker, Eden, put it up perfectly where Burgess had the uprights to contend with. And you'll see it again. Eden gets a running jump and he goes right up above Glenn Burgess and comes down with it so easily. This was the bomb by Eden, and Burgess was there, and Eden got that running jump and then came down and planted it safely in there for 4 points.
Burgess had no protection whatsoever here from his St. George supports. He was left one out, but Eden had the great advantage that he was on the run and Burgess was standing still. That enabled him to get high enough to come down with the ball, and that's a tremendous kick and chase.
And there's the kick by Cronin. He converts. The extras are there. The Eels are now leading by 6 points to 2, 10 minutes gone. So this scrum is supposed to be a 5-metre scrum. It's a bit further out than that. A worried Roy Masters, I would think.
Roy's heart in his mouth every time Parramatta get the ball. He'd be just hoping that a St. George player can make a tackle, because they're falling off so many that it's almost as if they weren't there.
Price plays the ball. It's been spun out to Quinn. It's gone to Cronin. Now to Taylor. Taylor's about 15 metres out from the line. Not even that. Cronin's the dummy half, and the play just hesitated a little bit as that ball was played slowly. Quinn gets it back to Eden. He's proving a thorn in the side. This is St.George with it, spinning out of the tackle. Still going is Jerd. 5 metres out from the St. George line. Playing it back to Vince Carr. Across it comes to Taylor. It's gone on to Cronin. Oh, he throws a giant dummy. He's over. It's a Michael Cronin, what a dummy did he throw. He had players going left, right and centre. He simply held it up, spun out of it. And if I get a kick out of seeing a rugby league try scored, let me tell you, I get a huge thrill out of seeing players like Michael Cronin score them. This was him, that was the slow-mo. Quinn ran a decoy. The St. George players, they fell off Michael Cronin and he scores the try. He was actually pushed across the line, I think.
Well, these days, most people expect Mick Cronin to pass the ball and not to run with it, and that was the case here. The St. George defence held off. He did a pirouette, Mick Cronin, saw the try line in front of him, was tackled short, but his momentum carried him over for the 4 points.
And there he is, Michael Cronin, to attempt conversion of his own try. He must also have a leave pass, Michael. He gets to the game about half an hour before kick-off. He's at his own private park here. He kicks the goal. Parramatta leading St. George 12 points to 2. And again the turnover. Steve Morris away from Mansfield's tackle and is put down by Neil Hunt. Linane. Young. And dropped by Noak. Well, St. George are doing things back on their own 22 line. And though the siren's about to sound, again they're going to have a scrum fed by the Parramatta halfback. And it'll be a Parramatta loose head. St.
George are playing anything like a cohesive unit in this first half, and if they're going to get back into the match, Roy Masters will need to get them in this second half playing a complete different brand of football.
So there's the siren bringing down the curtain on the first half. Parramatta leading St. George by 12 to 2. As we take it to the sidelines for a comment, Graeme Hughes.
Well, Ray, I think the scoreboard says it all. St. George, one very big problem, their defence, or rather their lack of it. If they want to get back into this match, they've got to go back to basics in the second half, move up in a straight line, move up together. One man go low, one man go high. If they don't, they can forget all about this one.
Welcome back for the second half of the NEC big game with Parramatta leading 12-2, and there's their total tackle count up at 92, and really not having to make all that many tackles. But then again, they've had a lot of possession. St. George 119. Townsend, the hooker, has made 18 of those tackles. Parramatta holding the ball on 9 occasions for the full set of 6. St. George just once. And 12-2, reminding you the scoreline. Held for 6 statistic, Graeme Hughes. It's a very significant stat, isn't it? 9 times Parramatta, once St. George.
Well, there's an old saying, Ray, that you can't, you've got to get your defence in order before you start to work on your attack.
Well, they're working on their attack right now, the red and whites. He's certainly not going out there to replace Craig Young. What is he, 4'11"? Cronin over the halfway. Price is trying to get with him. Price is with him now. Infield for Taylor. In and away. It's a try for Hunt. Oh, great stuff by the Eels. What about Price? That was quite funny, really, in one sense. Cronin had bolted. And he looked as if he said, come on, Pricey, catch up for heaven's sake. You watch it again and you'll, I think, agree with me. Price was pumping out those legs, doing his damnedest to get there, and eventually he arrived. It was like next week's pay.
This was a tremendous try by Parramatta. It all started with a run around. Mike Eden picked up Hunt. He fired the ball onto Cronin, and there the St. George defence was short. The centre wasn't in position. That gave Cronin the opportunity to make the split. A beautiful flick pass back inside. Great combination between Price and Cronin. Cronin then fired the ball back outside to Taylor. He realised he couldn't go back on with it, and Hunt had bobbed up once again to take the inside pass for a tremendous Parramatta try.
Cronin burst down the ground. I shouldn't laugh, but Pricey had me laughing, let me tell you. Hunt was waving to Taylor as if he was leaving on a jet plane. But Neil Hunt picks up the try. Cronin with the attempted conversion. 15 in, 21 out. Hits it. It's getting away. And no goal. Eels 16, Dragons 2. Out when Parramatta scored that try.
Yes, it was just what St. George didn't need at that period of the game. They were able to hold their heads up. It looked as if they were making inroads into the Parramatta defence, and then that try, which went something like 70 metres, turned it all around again.
Linane, O'Grady, Johnston. He's away from Laurie. He's away from Price. He's beaten a third. That was Cronin. And it was left to Paul Taylor to make the tackle. This is Haddock. Now Stone. Plenty of runners with him. And he gets a ball away for Noak. Noak tackle on the halfway. 5 tackles gone. Morris holding it up, deciding to run. Morris kicks over. He's going to score a try, I would suggest to you. Yes, that's a try. That's a great try by Stevie Morris. Not too many players in the game of rugby league can score tries like that. But Morris sure can, and this was just perfect for him.
Morris is the master of the kick and chase, and here he's given the opportunity. He faked a kick there. That got him into the little bit of the hole. He then realised that it was a one-on-one situation with him in the defence. He had no support. He'd had a look to the right-hand side, but it wasn't there, so he chipped ahead over Eden's head. There was no Parramatta defence coming back. Finally, the winger Atkins decided he'd chase, but he'd given Morris too much start, and he's able simply to plant his hands on the ball there for the 4 points.
Morris holding it up, deciding to run. Morris kicks over. He's going to score a try, I would suggest to you. Yes, that's a try. That's a great try by Stevie Morris. Yeah, he's a wonderful little player. I don't think that he probably realises how good he is and how valuable he is. 15 minutes of the match remaining. It's still not too late, but 16-6. It's a big deficit. Noak with his second shot at goal. 20 metres out on a bit of an angle. He had a similar kick in the first half. And he's pushed it away. 16-6 then remains the scoreline. Parramatta leading St. George in the NEC big game. Well, this is one match that Graeme Hughes doesn't have to...
You'd like to say send a cheerio to the nurses?
Yeah, up at Borkham Hospital, they were really good, you know. Really good to us. We were both in there together and they looked after us real well.
Okay, this match is far from over. Let's get back to it.
Okay.
All righty. It's St. George piling on the attack. They seem to have been rekindled by the Steve Morris try. Here's Stone with the ball, getting it away to Haddock, taken by Cronin, gone back to Funnell. Funnell striding out of a tackle. He's got support. He finds Linane. He kicks again, and he's going to score. Yes, Linane scores another St. George try. Just 3 minutes after Steve Morris, Linane goes in to do something similar. And it's a good habit. It's a great habit. The Saints are coming back. Well, look at this.
Linane showed here that he can do just as well as Steve Morris. It was almost a similar ploy. The ball went through a number of sets of hands before Linane finally came up with it. We can see here that he makes the break off the Funnell pass. Funnell was held in the tackle. He was looking for support. He pulled his feet free. He found Linane on the outside. Linane one-on-one with Eden. Chipped over the top. He gathered the ball just short of the line, but he had enough momentum and enough pace to cross for the try.
And the jubilation among the St. George fans. Well, that needs no explaining at all. Steve Linane scoring the second St. George try in the space of 3 minutes. And Noak has this very easy attempt at conversion, which he's got. And the score is now 16 points to 12. 16-12 in favour of the Eels.
Well, it was a top try, this one by Linane, wasn't it? The little chip over the top. It could have been stopped had Funnell been held effectively in the tackle, but he wasn't held. He kicked free, fired the ball back to Linane, and of course then it was shut the gate.
16-2, and then an incredible fight back by St. George off the little men, Morris and Linane, two of Roy Masters' dwarfs, as he calls them. And suddenly we've had one that has gone right down to the wire. But the unfortunate part about St. George Parramatta matches in 1985 is that we're always going to be saying, well, Wouldn't we like to see the best of both pitted against each other? And we might not see that till the finals, and even then we mightn't see it. And there's the siren. It's over. This NEC big game won by Parramatta in the final analysis by 16 points to 12, with tries to Eden, Cronin and Hunt. Cronin 2 goals. And for the Saints, those 2 fabulous tries by Morris and Lemaine, with no kicking 2 goals.
Vince, it's never over, is it?
No, they just kept on coming.
You must have been fairly happy at half-time.
Yeah, it was pretty pleased at half-time. They started off the second half very strong and put us off our game a little bit, and we just held on that last few minutes. That's what counted.
25 tackles for the first match up, eh? Good performance?
Yeah, I was pleased.
Makes you happy now you can go in the 2 points.
Yes, that's for sure.
Well played, Vince. I know you're a pretty relieved man.
Thank you.
A very happy and relieved Parramatta camp after this break. Billy Anderson and our man of the match.
For the second time this year, our man of the match is a Parramatta centre 3/4, Mick Cronin. Congratulations, Mick. A game you had parcelled up at 16-2, and then all of a sudden you were looking down the barrel at 16-12.
Well, Neil, thanks very much for the award. Well, I just thought that at leading 16, there's probably with so many new players in the side, we probably just lost our intensity a bit. We eased up, and against St. George you can't do that. They scored 2 tries, bringing it back to 16-12. In some ways, we're probably fortunate enough to get our momentum going again and hold them out.
Well, talking about your new players, you'd have to be happy with the way those debut players performed.
Well, naturally very happy. Yeah, well, and Glenn Mansfield's always had a big rap on him, you know. He probably just suffered through injuries. Peter Ford, well, he's from Gerringong, so probably a bit biased that way. And Vincey Carr, the hooker, you know, he's been playing well in reserve grade. There's probably a chance it's come a bit later than most people expect. Like, he's 26 years old, but he got his chance today and he took it.
For taking today's Man of the Match award, it's my great pleasure, as always, to present you with the NEC Game Ball Trophy and also a cheque for $500 courtesy of NEC.
Well, thanks very much. I'd just like to thank Channel 10 and NEC. As I said before, it makes the game very rewarding.
Mike, Peter Sterling might be a little man, but they're pretty big boots to fill.
Yeah, well, he's probably the best halfback in the world, him and Steve Mortimer. So, you know, our team had to adapt to having a new halfback. I think we did it pretty well.
The game was highlighted by individual kick and chase situations. Linnane's try, Stevie Morris, and of course on 2 or 3 occasions, Mike Eden.
Yeah, well, the defence from both sides was pretty good, and I think the only way to get through that defence is over the top or around it, and we couldn't get around them, so we had to go over the top.
Important win. It keeps Parramatta right up the top instead of maybe slipping back to 5th or 6th spot.
Yeah, well, we were looking at 6th spot if we hadn't got beat, so, you know, we had a few players out, a few players injured, and we were real keen to get it up, and I think the boys played really well.
So the man of the match was Michael Cronin in this win by Parramatta over St. George today, but it was a heart-stopping match, I'm sure you'd agree. Let's have a look at the other results now from the round of football in the Winfield Cup. Yesterday, South defeating Eastern Suburbs, and today, Penrith 22, Manly 10, Belmore